The rain battered the windshield as I drove up the winding road to the Crestwood estate, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. I wasn't here for the job, not really. I was here to destroy him. My name is Ethan Carver. And 3 months ago, my life was upended when my brother, Sam, was found dead in a Chicago alley. A single bullet through his heart. The police called it a random mugging. But I knew better. Sam had been working undercover, infiltrating the inner circle of Julian Crestwood, the enigmatic billionaire whose name whispered through the city's underbelly like a ghost story. Sam's last message to me, scrawled on a scrap of paper hidden in his apartment. Read, Crestwood knows. Get him before he gets you. Now, here I was, posing as a groundskeeper at Julian's sprawling Wisconsin mansion, my heart pounding with a cocktail of rage and fear. The job was my ticket on a way to dig for evidence, to uncover whatever secrets Julian was hiding that had cost Sam his life. I didn't expect the man himself to be standing at the gate when I arrived, his sharp green eyes cutting through the storm like they could see straight into my soul. Ethan, is it? Julian's voice was smooth, almost too soft for the howling wind. He was younger than I'd imagined, maybe 30, with dark hair plastered to his forehead by the rain and a jawline that could have been carved from marble. You're late. I muttered an apology, blaming the weather, but my mind was racing. Why was he out here? Billionaires didn't greet hired help in the middle of a downpour. I followed him through the iron gates, my boots sinking into the muddy path, and tried to ignore the way his presence made the air feel heavier. The mansion was a labyrinth of polished wood and stained glass, every corner dripping with old money and secrets. My first week was a blur of trimming hedges, hauling mulch, and keeping my head down while I memorized the layout security cameras, locked doors, the private wing where Julian disappeared for hours. At night, I'd sneak into the study, rifling through papers for anything tying him to Sam's death. But every drawer was a dead end, every file meticulously clean. Too clean. Julian, though, was impossible to avoid. He'd appear without warning, watching me from a balcony as I worked, asking questions about my life with a curiosity that felt too personal. Where'd you grow up, Ethan? He'd ask, leaning against a stone pillar, his voice low and teasing. You don't strike me as the gardening type. I'd deflect with half-truths, my pulse spiking every time his gaze lingered too long. He was charming, disarming, and dangerous in a way I hadn't prepared for. One evening, as I was pruning roses in the garden, he approached with a glass of whiskey in hand, the amber liquid catching the sunset. You're good at this, he said, nodding at the blooms. But you're hiding something. I can tell. My stomach dropped. Just here to do my job, I said, clipping a thorn with more force than necessary. He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell the cedar wood in his cologne. Everyone's hiding something, Ethan. The trick is figuring out what. His smile was a blade, sharp and fleeting, and I hated how it made my chest tighten. I told myself it was the adrenaline of the mission, the thrill of being so close to my target. But late at night, when I lay in the guest cottage staring at the ceiling, I couldn't shake the image of his face, the way his eyes softened when he thought I wasn't looking, the way his fingers brushed mine when he handed me a tool. I was here to ruin him, not to feel, whatever this was. By the second week, I'd hacked into the mansion's security system, a risky move that gave me access to Julian's private emails. Most were mundane business deals, charity galas, but one caught my eye, a cryptic message from an anonymous sender. The Chicago problem is handled. No loose ends. My blood ran cold. Was this about Sam? I saved the email to a flash drive, my hand shaking, and swore I'd find more. But Julian was always one step ahead. One night, as I slipped out of the study, I nearly collided with him in the hallway. His shirt was unbuttoned, his hair damp from a shower, and the sight of him casual, unguarded threw me off balance. Late night stroll, he asked, his tone light, but his eyes searching. Couldn't sleep. I lied, my heart hammering. He tilted his head, studying me. You're a terrible liar, Ethan. Before I could respond, he stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Be careful. This house has eyes. I didn't sleep that night. His warning echoed in my head, mingling with the memory of his breath so close to my face. I was losing focus, letting him get under my skin. Sam deserved better than that. The next day, a storm rolled in, fierce and unrelenting. I was soaked through, hauling branches from the driveway, when Julian appeared, holding an umbrella. Come inside, he said, his voice firm. You'll catch your death out here. I followed him, dripping water across the marble foyer, and he led me to a bathroom in the guest wing. Shower, he ordered, tossing me a towel. I'm not having my groundskeeper die of pneumonia. I stood under the hot water, trying to clear my head, when the door creaked open. Julian stepped in, his silhouette blurred through the steam. My breath caught. What are you? He didn't answer. Instead, he reached through the shower curtain, his hand finding my face, his thumb brushing my cheek. The touch was gentle, almost reverent, and for a moment, the world stopped. His eyes held mine, raw and unguarded, and I forgot why I was here. I forgot Sam, the mission, the lies. All I could feel was the warmth of his hand, the pull of something I couldn't name. Ethan, he whispered, his voice breaking. Why do I feel like I know you? The question hung in the air, heavy with steam and unspoken truths. I pulled away, my heart pounding, and mumbled something about needing to get back to work. Julian didn't stop me, but his eyes followed me as I left, burning into my back like a brand. I couldn't afford to lose control like that again. That night, I doubled down, sneaking into Julian's private office while the mansion slept. The room was a fortress locked filing cabinets, a safe hidden behind a painting, but I found a single photograph tucked inside a book on his desk. It was Sam, smiling at a bar, his arm around Julian. My stomach twisted. They'd known each other closely. The discovery lit a fire in me. I spent the next few days piecing together fragments, bank records showing payments to an offshore account, a burner phone hidden in a drawer with texts about a Chicago deal. Each clue pointed to Julian's involvement in something dark, but nothing directly tied him to Sam's death. Worse, every interaction with him blurred the line between hunter and prey. One afternoon, he invited me to dinner in the mansion's dining hall. Just the two of us. The table was set with candlelight, the air thick with the scent of rosemary and wine. Tell me about yourself, Ethan, he said, pouring me a glass. Not the groundskeeper. The real you. I deflected, talking about a fictional childhood in Ohio. But his questions were relentless, probing. When I mentioned losing a brother, his face softened, and for a moment, I thought I saw genuine sorrow. I'm sorry, he said. I know what it's like to lose someone. The sincerity in his voice threw me. Was he playing me? Or did he mean it? I hated how much I wanted to believe him. As we ate, he told me about his own past growing up in foster care, clawing his way to wealth, the loneliness of a life under scrutiny. His vulnerability was disarming. And when our hands brushed reaching for the same dish, the spark was undeniable. I left dinner dizzy, torn between my mission and the growing ache in my chest. I couldn't reconcile the man who'd held my face in the shower with the monster who might have killed my brother. But I had to know the truth, no matter what it cost me. The breakthrough came a week later. I found a hidden compartment in the library, containing a ledger with names, dates, and transactions. Sam's name was there, linked to a payment marked consulting. Consulting for what? I photographed every page, my hands trembling. When I heard footsteps, I barely had time to hide before Julian entered, his expression dark. "You're up late again," he said, his voice tight. He didn't approach, but the air crackled with tension. "What are you looking for, Ethan?" "Nothing," I said, too quickly. He stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "Don't lie to me." "Not you." The hurt in his voice caught me off guard, and for a moment, I thought he might confront me. Instead, he turned and left, leaving me clutching the flash drive like a lifeline. The next day, I overheard him on a call in the garden, his voice low and urgent. "It's getting too close. Handle it." My blood ran cold. Was he talking about me? I couldn't wait any longer. I had to confront him, even if it meant blowing my cover. That night, I found him in the conservatory, surrounded by glass walls and blooming orchids. The rain had started again, drumming against the panes. "Julian," I said, my voice shaking. "I need to know the truth. About Chicago. About Sam." His face paled, and for the first time, he looked genuinely afraid. "Sam," he repeated, stepping toward me. "How do you know about Sam?" "He was my brother," I said, the words spilling out before I could stop them. "And I think you had something to do with his death." Julian froze, his eyes wide with shock. "Your brother?" he whispered. "Ethan, I didn't tease Sam wasn't." He stopped, running a hand through his hair. "You don't understand. I cared about him." "Cared?" I snapped, my voice rising. "He's dead, Julian. And you're tied to it." He grabbed my shoulders, his grip firm but not cruel. "Listen to me. I didn't hurt Sam. He was working for me. Yes, but not the way you think. He was helping me expose someone bigger." I wanted to push him away, to call him a liar, but the desperation in his eyes held me captive. "Then tell me," I said. "Tell me everything." He hesitated, then pulled me closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Sam was investigating a trafficking ring. I funded him, gave him access. But he got too close, and his voice broke. They killed him. Ethan. Not me." The revelation hit me like a punch. A trafficking ring. Sam had never mentioned anything like that. I searched Julian's face for a lie, but all I saw was pain and something else. Something that mirrored the ache in my own chest. "Why should I believe you?" I asked, my voice hoarse. Julian's hands slid from my shoulders to my arms, his touch grounding me in the chaos. Because I loved him. Ethan. Not the way you think, but as a friend. He was good. Like you. The words broke something in me. I wanted to hate him, to hold on to the rage that had fueled me for months. But the sincerity in his voice was unraveling me. I stepped back, needing space. But he followed, his eyes pleading. I'll show you, he said. Everything I have files. Recordings. Everything Sam gave me. But you have to trust me. Trust him. The idea was absurd, but my heart was screaming something my head couldn't ignore. Against every instinct, I nodded. Over the next few days, Julian opened his world to me. He showed me encrypted drives with evidence Sam had collected names of powerful men, dates of shipments, locations of safe houses. It was bigger than I'd imagined, a network that reached into the highest echelons of society. Julian had been funding Sam's work, using his wealth to fight a war no one else dared touch. But someone had betrayed them, and Sam had paid the price. As we worked together, poring over documents in the dead of night, the walls between us crumbled. Julian's touch lingered longer, his smile softer. One night, as we sat shoulder to shoulder in the library, he reached for my hand. I'm glad you're here, he said, his voice barely audible. Even if you came to destroy me. I laughed. A broken sound. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. He turned to me, his face inches from mine. Then let me help you figure it out. Before I could think, he kissed me, slow and deliberate, like he was pouring every unspoken word into it. I kissed him back, my hands tangling in his hair. And for the first time since Sam's death, I felt alive. But the danger wasn't over. The next morning, I found a note slipped under my door. You're next. My blood ran cold. Someone knew I was here, knew what I was doing. I showed it to Julian, and his face hardened. They're closing in, he said. We need to move fast. We devised a plan to leak the evidence to a trusted journalist, someone outside the ring's reach. But as we prepared, the mansion's alarms blared. Men in black masks stormed the grounds, their guns glinting in the moonlight. Julian grabbed my hand, pulling me through a hidden passage behind the fireplace. Stay with me, he whispered, his voice steady despite the chaos. We emerged in the forest behind the estate, rain soaking us as we ran. Bullets tore through the trees, and I felt Julian's hand tighten around mine. If we don't make it, he said, his voice breaking, I need you to know I love you. The words stopped me cold, even as the world exploded around us. You barely know me, I said, breathless. I know enough, he replied, pulling me into a kiss that tasted of rain and desperation. We reached a safe house by dawn, battered but alive. With Julian's contacts, we got the evidence to the journalist, and within days, the trafficking ring was headline news. Arrests followed, names I'd seen in Sam's files now in handcuffs. It wasn't justice, not fully, but it was a start. In the quiet aftermath, Julian and I sat on the safe house porch, the sunrise painting the sky gold. What now? I asked, my head resting on his shoulder. Now, he said, his fingers lacing with mine. We live. For Sam. For us. I looked at him, The man I'd come to destroy. Now the one I couldn't imagine losing. My mission had started with vengeance, but it ended with something I never expected: love. Hard-won and unbreakable. Sam's death had led me here, to a truth bigger than either of us, and to a future I'd fight for, no matter the cost.